Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Kyle, and I'm currently a master's degree student at Ball State University studying applied behavior analysis. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the importance of a cultural identity map and cultural humility in ABA. So, just to give you a brief overview, cultural identity can be defined as any aspect of a person's life that contributes to their character, diversity, and overall culture. Cultural humility is the commitment to continue education and evolving on cultural aspects that can affect service delivery. So, this is not just in ABA specifically, this is across all healthcare service delivery, honestly. But it is really important in applied behavior analysis as well. So, cultural identity and humility are very important cofactors in effective and ethical ABA service delivery and are overall necessary for professional development. And in order to practice cultural humility, you have to understand the cultural identity of yourself and others. So, objectives for today. Really quick before we get started on the objectives, everyone should receive a handout that includes a cultural identity map and then cultural humility questionnaire that we will be completing throughout this session. So, jumping into the objectives, trainees will be able to describe cultural identity and cultural humility in ABA. Trainees will grasp a better understanding of their own cultural identity using a cultural identity map. Trainees will understand how their culture may vary from others using the 5-question cultural humility survey. And trainees will apply this knowledge to create an inclusive environment and allow for culturally competent service delivery. All right, so jumping right in, this is a very basic overview of a cultural identity map. You can create any sort of format that you want for a cultural identity worksheet. It's just important that you include the different aspects that could create someone's culture. So here we've included the person's name who will be filling out this cultural identity worksheet, but their culture will include languages that they speak, their race and ethnicity, their hobbies, religious background, different geographic locations that they've lived, their ability status, experiences of privilege and socioeconomic status, educational level, and their gender and identity. There are more cultural aspects that could be added to this worksheet. Again, this is just a very basic overview. Um, your map will most likely not be the same as anyone else's. Again, everyone's culture is different. And the most important thing whenever you guys are filling this out is to be honest. If you don't know you know, something on this identity worksheet, just don't fill it in. That's still a part of your culture. If you only speak a little bit of a language, make sure to specify that. Just different things to make sure that we're being completely honest and open about our cultural identity so that we're not kind of cheating out ourselves of our own cultural identity and then cheating out others of, different areas of bias or different areas that maybe we need to work on a little bit more. Because remember, we're constantly trying to evolve our own identity and our own understanding of these cultural variables. All right, after we filled out our cultural identity map, we're going to talk about this cultural humility questionnaire. Again, this is a very basic tool that can be used to help you understand and develop your own cultural humility. This can be completed at an individual level, but also at an organizational level. Okay. So, personally, we all need to work on our own cultural humility, but as an organization, we need to hold each other accountable. We need to collaborate. We need to make sure that we're continuously trying to make these efforts in expanding our knowledge and understanding of others. So, again, we're going to answer the following questions openly and honestly as they will help identify and develop your cultural humility. So, question number one, what are some ways to ensure that you are participating or that you are practicing cultural humility in the workplace to clients and other staff members? Um, Number two, in your own words, what is the difference between cultural humility and cultural responsiveness? Question number three, have you ever been made aware of your own cultural biases? If so, what were these biases and how did you navigate them to ensure inclusivity and services? Number four, have you ever received training over cultural humility in the workplace? If so, how effective do you believe this training was? And question five, what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is learning and expanding their cultural humility? Now, we can use this as a baseline intake assessment for new employees. We can kind of use it on ourselves to see what we're currently at, what our current understanding is of this different cultural humility and these cultural aspects. So that way we can use that to see our growth and our development. So maybe You've done millions of cultural humility trainings and cultural responsiveness trainings. Maybe this is your first one and you're still learning. That's totally fine. This is just a basis that you can use, and you can do a self-assessment, or as a company, you can do an overall assessment and get kind of a general consensus on how we're practicing these cultural humility aspects. So, some common challenges that we see with a cultural identity map and with our cultural humility questionnaires is that we are seeing some dishonest answers due to social pressure. This can skew personal cultural identity and how it interacts with other cultural aspects, as well as it can give you a false sense of cultural humility. Again, we're supposed to be honest because we're always supposed to be developing our cultural humility and our cultural responsiveness. And we can't, if we can't honestly answer how we're incorporating that into our daily practice, it's going to be really difficult to measure growth in that area. There is also room for bias, both unknown and unknown. So this can interfere with various service delivery and employment factors. There are many self-assessments that you can take to learn your own biases, and your own cultural differences at a deeper level and more of a personal level. It can be a little bit embarrassing if we have these different biases. Everyone has biases. It's inevitable, because everyone has a different culture, and we're raised around different things, and we have different lifestyles, and that's okay. We just need to be aware of it in order to continue to grow and build off of that. And also, there are some unknown cultural aspects. Again, I mentioned earlier, it is okay if you do not know a specific part of your culture identity map worksheet. It's best practice to just try your best, but unknown factors can still contribute to your culture identity. This culture is anything that makes you you. So if you don't know exactly what your ethnicity is, that's okay. That's part of your culture. It might not be part of your ethnical culture, but it's a part of you, and that's totally fine. So, some best practices overall is just reflect on all of your possible answer choices. We want to answer truthfully and honestly. We always want to attempt to expand our knowledge and our understanding of ourselves and others. We want to continue to monitor for the elaboration of these cultural identity and humility worksheets in various ways. So, this could be in journals, websites from the BACB themselves, various ethics codes that are always getting updated, etc. Again, the use of self-assessments can be used to identify personal cultural aspects and potential biases. We always want to keep an open mind. We don't know everything. We have to keep learning, and we have to try to understand each other. And that kind of gives us into our next point of respect others, treat others with dignity, and practice inclusion and diversity always. So really quickly, you guys will use your handouts, and you're going to fill out your own cultural identity map, and you're going to fill out your own questionnaires. You guys can discuss them quietly, but once you're all finished, we're going to break up into small groups, and we're going to discuss the following. How can you apply your knowledge of culture identity while creating individualized treatment plan goals for your clients? How will you continue to enhance your knowledge in cultural humility in the future? And if you could add any aspect about yourself to your cultural identity map, what would it be and why? All right. And in conclusion here, a culture identity map can help you better understand your own culture and assess how it affects your day-to-day tasks and interactions with other cultures. Once you understand your own culture, it can help you understand the diversity in other people's cultures as well. These other people can include clients, employees, supervisors, caregivers, etc. Anyone that we're interacting with in our day-to-day lives. And practicing cultural humility is a lifelong commitment and should be reflected on consistently in order to ensure that we are gaining continuous knowledge, understanding, and application in practice.